Hey, so it's time to talk about it. Oftentimes, when we come from dysfunctional family systems, there are issues in our own relationships, and marriages, partnerships often end in divorce, though it's not always the case. But for me, it did. And I had a really difficult time leaving relationships that were toxic. I always stayed in way past the expiration date. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about divorce and self-worth. And that applies to ending relationships and self-worth. So I didn't feel worthy unless I had the affirmation from a partner, and it caused a lot of problems for me. And it was because I was going from the outside in rather than the inside out to get approval. And I ended up in a very toxic marriage that was bleeding me dry for many years. I was carrying more than my fair share of the weight and the responsibility of the partnership, and I couldn't change that scenario as much as I wanted to. And as much as I shoved it under the carpet and placated and denied and tried to fix, my self esteem, my worth, my self worth, and my value were eroding. And I was becoming more angry, more prone to illness, and my life was getting smaller and smaller. And a big piece of it was I was not in touch with my own self-worth. I felt small and I was rattled. And it didn't matter how much I spoke with friends, associates, professionals. I couldn't fix the scenario, and I couldn't bring myself to walk away from it. So finally, I tried to bring integrity to the relationship, and it didn't work. It was another way for me to try to gain control. And honestly, the universe took over. And what happened was my husband announced he was hiring an attorney and filing for divorce after we had been trying to work out an agreement and mediation to bring financial integrity to the marriage. And instead of vacating our home, a home that I had bought and paid for our family and maintained for our family, he took up a residence in the master bedroom. And I, in turn, went into a partial conversion in our garage on a mattress on the floor. And most people would rail at that injustice. And I did. It was maddening. But what it was actually a gift for me to see the low self worth, self esteem, and value I was giving to myself in this relationship. I was too busy placating and doing the heavy lifting. So I'm saying this helped my self worth because it was 1 year in that circumstance. I think my ex really thought it was going to be a great tool of manipulation and it was going to give him the upper hand. But really, what it did was it backfired. There was no way that I could turn my head and deny who he was as a partner and as a husband with that kind of reflection in the relationship, and living in that scenario for a year, holding no contact, meaning no eye contact, no verbal contact, only in writing, everything in writing, really unveiled his character traits and his capabilities as a human being. And though I loved this man, I learned to love myself more. I got in touch with that inner beauty inside my heart, that beautiful piece of my soul that came into this world to live some pretty tough lessons and to walk through them. And this was certainly one of the biggest among them, to break this dependency and to say, I am enough and I am deserving. Even the attorney that I hired during this process, and I understood from the get, this was not my friend. This was a hired professional, very highly paid professional. But even my attorney said, oh, I'm not worried about you a bit when you get out of this marriage. And I didn't know what he was talking about. I really felt my life was going to come crashing down. I didn't know how I was going to take care of myself, let alone create a home and care for our son. And this was after dragging the major portion of the load, including financially, for almost the entire relationship and certainly almost the entire marriage. So it took this very taxing scenario that fell on my head like a big billboard for me to wake up and to garner the courage, and over that year period to have no way to deny the circumstances I had allowed and that I was in. And really going inside to do the somatic work to walk through this and really understand that I did have value, that I did have strength, and I had a power that was unstoppable once I stopped the outer projection and really got that strong base that I never had. I never had it as a child. I didn't have it as a young adult. And I had to slowly cobble those pieces together, and this being the ultimate storm that brought it to a head. And that is how divorce gave me self-worth. And that was the first piece that really fell into place to create a stable platform to go forward and live in a newfound freedom. It's a new way of living and being that I didn't understand when I was stuck, feeding an endless source who wanted supply. So this has been my experience. If it's helped you in any way, please share the video with someone else that might be helped, and subscribe if you feel like it. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And if you need help, I'm here. You can reach out to info@susangold.us. And just want you to know we're in this together. This is a hard thing to walk through. Relationships are very difficult, having had a toxic background in history, and it goes on through my ancestry, as it might yours as well. But I'm here to say you can stand up, and there is help, and there is a way through. So I hope you're well, and I look forward to the next video together. And please know there's a gift in it all.